year is 2014. Picture yourself in my situation. I'm standing in line at a snack stand here on campus. It's like any other day on campus, and I'm about to order my chocolate milk and peanut butter brownie. Something to hold me over during homework until dinner. I go to pay for it, and my card's declined. Now there's got to be a mistake. It's only $4 here. There's got to be a mistake. Run the card again. No, still declined. Okay, take back the chocolate milk. I could live without the chocolate milk. I got to have that brownie. As if $1.80 would really make a difference. Yeah. They run the card again, and sure enough, it's declined again. I have to put the food back, and I tuck my tail between my legs and scamper off to a computer where I check my bank balance, and sure enough, there's a negative $45 in my account. I was shocked. I had no idea how this had happened. I always thought I was that guy with at least a little bit more money than the next person, but this was a huge wake-up call to me. I had no idea how this happened, but looking back now, I realized I was not taking advantage of all the financial options available to me. I wasn't tracking my expenses, and I was spending money where I shouldn't have been spending my money. And for that reason today, and to help avoid everyone else from this same pain, we're here to persuade you that gifted money is always better than borrowed money when it comes to paying for school. Now, to help break this down, we've got a team of future accountants who are very expert on this subject. We're going to be hearing from Bryce, who will break down the problems of specifically student loans and interest rates, the dangers of interest rates and how to avoid them. Then we're going to have Parker talk about our solutions. He'll be the breath of fresh air. So we'll look forward to what he has to share with us. Not only when it comes to managing the loans that we find ourselves in, but better yet, taking advantage of the gifted options available to us. Then I will come in and help you visualize what your life will look like if you actually act or don't act on the solutions offered today. Now, we'll hear from Bryce.
Thank you. So, one of the main things we want to pay for our tuition with is student loans most of the time, right? Well, that is not usually the best thing to go to right away. There's actually three major problems that go with student loans. One is the borrowed money is not really yours, and the second, the interest rates, the money that builds up over time, and three, it's not really easily forgiven. So with the borrowed money, the money not really being yours, you go on to FAFSA, you log into your account, get ready to pay for your tuition, you see the Pell Grant, it's already accepted, that's good, and you see two additional things on the very bottom, going, oh, good, more money to help me pay for my schooling and help me with my life. So you kind of ignore what they're really saying, going, oh, I just see the amounts that they have, so I'm just going to go for it. And then you have the rain of money after your tuition is done and your fees are done, you get that check that for $2,000 to $3,000. And going, sweet, I have all the money in the world now. So you might put some of the savings, but then you go maybe spend on the fish tank, a bed, some snacks, eat out for lunch, or a trip to Disneyland. You just go crazy with the money because you're just thinking that is your income. Of course it is, because it's positive in your account. You kind of forgot that the wording was a loan. The money isn't really yours. So you kind of think it like we think in economics. If you have taken it or going to take it for business majors, the more income you get, the more likely you're going to spend. You're going to keep on spending the more disposable income you accumulate. So that then you might check up with your balance in a year or so, and you notice, oh, right, I owe $10,000 to $15,000. So your money stack that you owe gets way bigger. Well, actually, it's more larger than you think. Actually, with interest rates. Interest rate is the fee that the borrower gives you for lending the money. Money's not free. When he gives you $2,000, he expects something a little in return, and that's what the interest rate is. Interest rates occur daily or monthly, depending on the loan. For our purposes, we're going to do monthly because that's what FAFSA loans are about. And with it being 4 to 5%. What I mean by that is 4% is before 2018, the student loans were at. If you borrow now and a little bit after 2018, it's at 5% now with interest rate with the student loans. Now, why does that matter to you? Because along with the two loans on the bottom, there are two different loans. One's subsidized and the other is unsubsidized, meaning the unsubsidized builds up during your school year. The subsidized stays by itself for the time being, but the unsubsidized keeps building up. And it's usually the smallest loan out of the two. So let's say it's $900. $900 with 5% interest is $45 a month, which is not too bad. But if you don't do anything and let it keep going and going, eventually that $45 in a year span will be $540, and in two years it'll be $1,080. It kind of hurts a little bit, but it hurts even more if you were being crazy with your money, like what I was talking about in my first point, and you spent all of it. You need to get another loan. Well, that other loan comes with its own interest rate, so it just builds up from there. It stacks up on each other. So instead of a 2-year span of building up $1,080, now you do it in one with the two unsubsidized loans. You're just building up money the more times you borrow the money, creating a snowball effect and making your debt higher and higher. And then when you graduate, you need to find a job quickly because you have 6 months grace period before they force you to pay on your student loans. Because then the subsidized interest rate is going to start kicking in when you graduate. So now you find yourself with this humongous pile of debt. You're going, well, let's forget about it. Put a blanket over it and forget about it completely. I got the education, so they should forgive it already because I'm a benefit to society. Well, along with this crushing amount of debt, you want to get rid of it fast and not worry about it. The first one is you try to sign up for the loan programs that they have. All right, they might help you a little bit, but you have to be paying 10 years or 120 payments before they start helping you. Even reduce the rate or fraud the balance. The second is going with the military. So with the military, they only help you at the very beginning, so you have to follow that decision before you went to school. And even then, they have you sign a 5 or 15-year contract, so they pay for your schooling, and at the end, when you graduate, you're fine, but you don't get that dream job of yours because you're spending military for that long or longer to pay off your school loans. Well, then we'll go to our third final option. Get our magic wand, sign a piece of paper, and claim bankruptcy, and make it wished away. After you think you got it all away, at least your other loans are gone, you're feeling good about yourself, but you have the 10 years of bad credit that accumulates, and now you can't get that good house or car. You get a cheaper value for that thing for that much money. And then you notice at the very end that your student loans are still there. Your student loans won't go away when you claim bankruptcy. That's because it's the second largest debt in the United States with all the citizens. And even when you have the debt, 43% of them don't even pay on it. Now, there is a way to do that. You sign a piece of paper and you say, I can't afford it. Please hold off the payments until I find a better job. But if you keep doing that every year, the interest rate is just going to keep on going. It doesn't matter if you can't pay on it. It'll just slowly increase until it gets uncontrollable. So now you have this humongous pile of debt, but not all is lost. Parker's going to be talking to us about how to deal with the debt and ways to prevent it from happening in the first place.
Thank you. Now that Bryce has illustrated the problems in regards to borrowed money, and specifically student loans, I'm going to talk about solutions, specifically 3 simple solutions to these problems. First, I'm going to talk about wise use of borrowed money. Second, I'm going to talk about combining loans. And third, I'm going to talk about the much anticipated gifted money. Gifted money is always better than borrowed money. That's been the theme for our presentation today. And even though gifted money is only one of the 3 points I'm going to talk about today, the other 2 are crucial in helping to resolve all of the problems that Bryce just talked about. So first off, let's talk about wise use of borrowed money. To start off, I'm going to start off with a word that we typically don't like to assign to money, but that word is discipline. When we're disciplined with our money, we will make wiser choices and be able to pay back the borrowed money that we have borrowed. And so remember the word discipline as we go through all of the solutions today, because it's going to be the underlying theme. Second, I want to talk about extra savings accounts. A typical bank account looks like this, where you have one checking account, one savings account. That's pretty typical. About 8 months ago, I went and met with a financial advisor in Mountain America, and I was wondering if it was something I wanted to go into, so we got to talking pretty personally, and he shared with me how he started with his wife to set up extra savings accounts besides just the normal one, and he labeled them different things. So for example, one he labeled rent, one he labeled car payments, one car emergencies, and so on and so forth. And every time he got a paycheck, he would put money into each account to prepare for the coming month, and he would know what money they had left over to spend where. My wife and I took this and put it in practice, and it helped us to be more disciplined and wise in the use of our money and help us avoid many of the problems Bryce has already mentioned. Next thing I want to talk about is splurge money. Splurge money is actually very important for you to be able to save your money. For example, my wife and I, when we got our tax returns, we each took $100, no judgments to each other, went out and spent it on whatever we wanted. My wife got a bunch of clothes, I got a bunch of movies, and it was great to spend some money on ourselves. After we did that, we were able to save and be more disciplined with the rest of our money to be able to save it for its intended purposes. Now that we've talked about wise use of borrowed money, let's talk about combining loans. To start off, I want to talk about subsidized loans that Bryce already mentioned. Subsidized loans are the type of loans that don't accrue interest while you're in school. And so until you graduate, they don't accrue any interest because the government pays it off, versus unsubsidized that just accrues interest all the time that you're in school. If you have the choice, always go for subsidized versus unsubsidized loans, and you'll already avoid many of the issues that Bryce mentioned. Now let's talk about combining loans. To illustrate this point, I have a story about my parents. When they opened up Cold Stone, they started off with about a $200,000 loan. After about a year, they had to get an extra $3,500 loan because a piece of equipment broke. It was fine, they were still making their payments, things were going okay, but after another year, they had to get a $10,000 loan for a larger piece of equipment that broke down to replace it. And at the end of that year, they had to get a $2,000 loan to be able to pay their taxes. Their solution took them a while to find, but they decided to combine and consolidate the loans to one $220,000 loan to make it more affordable for them. The same thing can happen with us in school. As we go throughout school, we may take out a loan every year, every semester, whatever it is, but they accrue and they build up, as Bryce was explaining, and by the time we graduate, we may have 5 or 6 loans that are just unbearable and that are really hard to pay off. And so if we find somewhere to consolidate and combine them into one loan, it'll make it much more affordable for you. Now that we've talked about combining loans, let's talk about gifted money. Gifted money is free money given to you that you never have to pay back. My first example is Pell Grants through FAFSA. If you fill out FAFSA and you're approved, you're given a Pell Grant automatically that typically can cover as much as all of your tuition for a semester. If you ever get the option to accept a Pell Grant, accept it immediately because it'll help you so you don't have to borrow more money. Second, I want to talk about scholarships. For some reason, there's a little bit of a gap in our minds where most of us feel as though we can't get scholarships, and so we don't even try. The fact of the matter is, the more scholarships you apply for, the more likely you are to actually get a couple of them. And so UVU has made this easy. When you go to financial aid and fill out scholarships, you can fill out a general application, and then you can pick between recommended or all scholarships. Recommended scholarships are some that UVU feels like you can get, and all scholarships are all of the hundreds of scholarships they have to offer. If you take an hour out of your day and fill out about 10 of them, chances are you might get 1 or 2 of them. Last, I want to talk about the Dean's List. The Dean's List is pretty simple. You have to have a cumulative GPA of 2.0 or higher. Every semester you get a clean slate, and you have to be taking more than 12 credits that semester. And if by the end of the semester you get a GPA of 3.6 within that semester or higher, you're gifted about $800 for your academic success. This is a great way to put your school to work for you. Now that we've talked about ways that gifted money can help solve your problems, Stephen is going to help you visualize how to use these solutions to combat the mighty dragon of borrowed money.
Thank you. As you can see, Parker did an excellent job of giving us that breath of fresh air that we were all anticipating after Bryce talked about our problems. Excuse me, the problems with student loans. Now, I'm going to talk about what your life will look like if you act or don't act on the principles offered today. But first of all, there's a statistic from USA Today that says that $2.9 billion is left unclaimed every single year from unclaimed grant money, Pell Grants. Is this because people just don't qualify, or is this because people aren't applying? Like Parker said, take an hour out of your time. It's going to take a little extra work, but it's well worth it. And you can take advantage of some of that $2.9 billion of unclaimed grant money. That's completely free to you and gifted to you. Okay, let's say you were sleeping the last 20 minutes, and 5 years from now, you don't act on the principles offered today. You, no matter the amount of money you have, are always going to owe it to someone else. Like Bryce talked about, borrowed money is not yours. There'll always be those dragons in your life in the form of bill collectors or you name it, wanting their money back. It can create tons of pain and a lot of heartache. Contrast that to if you were paying attention today and you do act. Now, all action requires a timeline. So let's pick May 1st as our date for action. Because chances are if you don't act by May 1st, time will go by and you will miss out, and chances are you probably won't ever apply for these scholarships or Pell Grants like we're recommending today. So by May 1st or sooner, right now, you act on the solutions offered. What will your life look like? Picture yourself in your car, whatever car you drive currently or whatever car you want in the future. You're driving down your road. You push the garage door opener to your garage. You are home, in your home. Not only can you afford this home because your debt to income ratio is more manageable than it would have been if you had all these debts stacked up, but you're peaceful in your home because you can afford it. Maybe you want to go for a swim in the swimming pool in the back. Notice there's no dandelions. Maybe you can afford lawn care in spite of other things like a maid service. Why vacuum your own floors if you can have someone else do it? I'm not saying that this is what the perfect picture. It's pretty picture perfect. But whatever your perfect picture is in your mind can be achieved if you act now on the solutions offered today. Namely, scholarships, Pell Grants. Avoid the borrowed money. The choice is pretty simple. Gifted money is always better than borrowed money. Act now